Hello, everyone, and welcome to SuttonsDaze. If you're new here, my name is Lisa. We are all about pantry preparedness. And today is a cold, nasty, bitter day. And so I need to get some stuff done around here. And so I thought we would chat while I tackle these projects in a one-armed fashion. And we can chat about what I'm planning on doing moving forward for the next couple weeks going into the new year, and what I'm going to try to do to better set myself up for the upcoming years. It's going to be a heck of a ride, you know? It has been a chaotic month. Oh, is that an understatement? What did I do? I need to oil my counter. So the month of November, was full of ups, downs, sideways, back, forth. But it was just super busy. A lot of getting ready to have surgery, having surgery, beginning to recover from surgery, And in the midst of all of that, for those of you that know him, Finn, my Finn man, my Finnegan begin again, the cat that I didn't want, that now I have, and who has wrapped me around his little paws, has become ill. So we are trying to figure out what's going on with that and not having a whole lot of luck. Full blood panels, x-rays, no obstructions, no nothing, but something's definitely very, very wrong. And the vet, as of yesterday, is trying to prepare me for cancer. Yeah, which does not give me the warm fuzzies, But, so today we're just kind of hanging out with the Finn man, who now is on an NSAID yesterday and today, so that he is somewhat functional. I just don't know. Can't even go there. But above and beyond my pet problems and my still recovering, I'm going to be recovering from this surgery for a few months. So it is what it is. I'm learning how to do a lot of things with my left hand that I never wanted to do. But we're halfway through the month of December, We have just a little over 2 weeks left in this year, and then 2026. And I guess I want to chat a little bit because it's been in my head again. A few years back, well, in 2021, I had a video where I stated that it's not over yet. We're not done by a long shot with the chaos. And, we just kind of kept plodding along. And I ran across a video that I did last year where I was, telling people what I thought was coming up this year. And wow, I mean, wow. When I saw that, again, a year later and listened to it, even I didn't realize to the extent that it was going to be. It was kind of eye-opening, and if that's what I thought back then, and now we're there, and it's actually worse than what I thought it was going to be, where are we going to be next year? And it worries me a little bit. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it, because I refuse to give things that I can't control that kind of power. However, I'm also going to be working extra hard to be as prepared as possible, and to help you prepare as much as possible for what may be coming down the pike. And based off of everything that I've been watching and reading and everything else, I think it's coming, So I'm not here to predict disaster. I'm here to relay, stories that I've read or discussions that I have run across uh, regarding what the potential is. But I'm not predicting disaster. My intent is to make sure that if there is some kind of disaster, we are moderately, if not completely, prepared for it. Because throughout all of history, through wars, depression, shortages, transitions, and upheaval, one thing has always made a difference, right? People who had food in their homes stayed calmer. They made better decisions. They slept better, a lot better, and they became anchors for their families and their communities. So, if you've ever felt that quiet pull to stock your pantry just a little bit deeper, which is kind of where I'm at, if you've ever wanted to feel more prepared without becoming anxious, because I'm not about anxiety. I don't know, don't have time for it. If you've ever thought, I just want to be steady no matter what comes, hopefully this video is for you. Let's get started. I picked myself up a Dash ice cream maker thing that I now have to read all the directions for, but I'll get there. I really, really will. But right now it's got to go up here so that I can keep cleaning. Okay. So the idea of the fourth turning, just a real quick, if you haven't been here before, comes from historians who studied long cycles of history, not events, but patterns. And basically every 80 to 100 years is another turning. And we are in the fourth turning. Yeah. What they discovered is that about every 80 to 100 years, societies go through a full generational cycle uh, made up of four phases. So the fourth turning is the final phase, a time when old systems are strained, structures shift, and society reshapes itself. I think it's going through that now. I believe that that's where we are now. That's where they're saying we are now. And if you sit back and pay attention, you see it too. But here's the one key thing that I want you to understand. A fourth turning does not mean collapse, because it doesn't, okay? It does not mean the end of the world as we know it. And it does not mean that you should be afraid. I don't do fear. Got no time for it, same as everything else. It simply means that we are living in a season of transition. Change, transition is rarely comfortable. Rarely is it comfortable. We just naturally are built to want the status quo, to keep status quoing, Every generation before us has lived through one of these. Every generation. And every generation has come out the other side. So you have to believe that we're going to come out the other side too. The people who did best during those times weren't the ones glued to the news or chasing every headline because, yeah, and especially now, you can't trust 90% of them, right? They were the ones who said, we can't control everything, but we can control what happens inside our home. And that is where the pantry comes in. Food security is so important. If you've ever dealt with any kind of food insecurity, then you doubly know how important it is, right? It's not dramatic, it's not extreme, and it's not fear-based. Food security is stability, period. That is the definition, When systems are feeling shaky, which right now they are, whether that's supply chain prices, weather, jobs, global events, food becomes the first pressure point. And when food becomes uncertain, stress skyrockets a lot. But when your pantry is stocked, your nervous system, it's like totally relaxed. And I would love to show you a better definition of that, but I can't get my shoulder to go down today. So, in other words, you're not scrambling, you're not reacting. No, no, no. You're not shopping in panic because that's the way to waste a whole bunch of money. You already have what you need. That's why pantry preparedness is one of the most powerful emotional tools that we have during chaotic seasons. It lowers anxiety, it increases confidence, and it creates predictability when the world feels unpredictable. A well stocked pantry literally says no matter what happens this week or this month, we are fed. And that matters more than most people realize. Okay, I'm almost done with that cup. So let's clear up something kind of real quick here. The fourth turning pantry is not a bunker. That's utterly ridiculous, okay? I'm not, one of your prepper bros, who's all bullets and band-aids and bunkers. No, really. I mean, look at this, okay? It's not a survival fantasy. It's not shelves of food that you don't know how to use. A fourth turning pantry is a practical, boring, dependable space filled with food, okay? The kind that gets you through ordinary days and hard seasons. It's built on literally 5 pillars. Pillar number 1, calories, because, okay, your body needs energy. That's what calories are. They're energy. Rice, pasta, oats, potatoes, flour, cornmeal, those are the foods that carry families literally through history. Historically, they have carried families through. They have seen people through hard times. I do keto. That's nice. Okay. I'm talking about hard times, not the diet of the week. Really, I mean, that's what it comes down to. Okay. Pillar number 2 is protein. Protein stabilizes blood sugar, mood, and energy. Canned meats, canned tuna, canned salmon, sardines, spam, I know. Okay, home canned chicken or beef or turkey, freeze dried proteins if you use them, if you can get them. Protein keeps meals satisfying and keeps panic at bay. So you can't live off of cornmeal, but you can definitely use it with a protein and it will sustain you for a very long time. Pillar number 3 are your fruits and your vegetables. Very, very, very important, okay? Nutrition matters even, and most importantly, I think, during stressful times. If you have ever been to the point where you are so stressed that you wouldn't be surprised if you had a heart attack or your hair was falling out, I speak from experience here, okay? Then you will understand what it means to realize that you have to reduce that stress, that having yourself prepared will help do that, will help alleviate some of that stress, and you can do it. I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it, okay? So nutrition matters, especially during stressful times. Canned vegetables, canned fruits, dehydrated produce, freeze dried, home canned soups and sauces and that kind of stuff. Those are definitely pillar 3. Color on the plate matters emotionally and physically. And that's probably the easiest way to look at it is if you look at your plate and you don't see some color, then you want to look and see what are you missing? Because emotionally and physically, it makes a big difference to have a little color. Pillar number 4 are your fats. And some smart aleck is going to leave a comment that we all could stand to lose some weight anyway. And so I'm going to tell them to start with them and tape their mouth shut. But fats keep you full and they support your health. We actually need it for brain function, among other things. Okay, so cooking oils, shortening, butter powder, shelf stable fats, those are what you want to make sure that you're looking at. Pillar number 5, yes, is comfort and flavor because they make a really big difference. If they're hungry enough, they'll eat it. Aren't you special? Yeah. So this one is really just as important, okay? Coffee, tea, cocoa, spices, sugar, baking supplies. Can I repeat coffee again for the people in the back of the room? Coffee, hello, yes, coffee is good. Broth, soup mixes, those, fantastic. Comfort foods are not indulgences. They are morale. They help keep your morale up. A fourth turning pantry needs the body and the spirit. It really does. So, another thing that we want to keep an eye out for here is that it's not all just about stuff. It's never just about stuff, okay? Skills over stuff. Something that history teaches us quite clearly. Skills matter more than a stockpile. You don't need a perfect pantry. You need confidence in using what you have. So the skill of knowing how to make bread because you're not buying it from the store anymore with just a few staple ingredients that saves you many, many dollars, okay? Because you can make a loaf of bread for 50-ish cents, and that's a highball, where you're buying the stuff at the store with all the preservatives and chemicals in it for like $3, I think it's going for now. You know, skills, skills over stuff. That's where it comes in. Knowing how to cook from scratch, knowing how to stretch meals, knowing how to rotate your pantry that I keep telling you to do, right? Knowing how to preserve food, regardless of what kind of preservation, whether you are doing canning, dehydrating, freeze drying, freezing, whatever the case. Preserving it while you can get it at a good price or when it's in season at the best price to have when it's not necessarily available, that's a skill. Those are quiet skills. They don't get attention. And that's kind of a good thing, even though I feel like, okay, why can't we get attention for that? But you know what? No, I'm good with quiet. I'm good with quiet. I'm good with nobody really paying attention because those skills are powerful because it doesn't matter how strong you are if you can't eat anything. It doesn't matter how smart you are if you can't eat anything. So making sure that you have the stuff that you need and the skills that you need to use that stuff are very important. When you know how to turn flour, fat, and water into a meal, you are literally never helpless. And every skill you build increases your calm. Who can beat that? Emotional preparedness is something that I think quite a few people struggle with anymore. And this is where your pantry really has a superpower. One of the most overlooked parts of preparedness is emotional resilience. When food is uncertain, fear spreads super fast, okay? You can see that literally any place there's a natural disaster, the biggest fear is not, going hungry. When food is secure, fear loses its grip. You're not buying into the hype. You're not buying into the fear mongering because you got this. You know, you know that your next few meals are taken care of while everyone else is scrambling. And so you can kind of sit back and strategically figure out your next steps. Your pantry does something incredible. It removes urgency. Think about that for a minute. It removes urgency. So there's no urgent shopping, no urgent decisions, no urgent fear. Okay. That space allows you to think clearly, to help others, to make wise choices instead of reactive ones, to sit back while the chaos is out there because you already have a plan in place. A prepared pantry literally turns chaos into calm. Okay, Lise, so how do we build our prepared pantry? My friends, I got you because I'm always here for the solution. Okay, we can talk about the problems till our face falls off, but the solutions are what are going to get us to where we need to be. But you don't need to just know them, you actually need to put them into action. Okay, so first is to start where you are. Not everybody is going to have that same starting place. Not everybody is going to have the same things that they're focusing on. Use what you can, build it slowly. I know, but everybody's saying that, 2026 is going to be really bad. Okay. And it starts in 2 weeks. Okay. You're not going to do a year's worth of work in 2 weeks, and definitely not efficiently, not properly, and not with any reasonable financial, gain at all. You have to do it slowly. You need to start off with what you already have. So in order to do that, what do? You inventory. Okay, so inventory what you already have. And then as you're doing this, you can identify gaps. Like, oh, I didn't realize that I have literally no oil in the house. And we need oil in order to make this or that. Or, you'll find it as you inventory. So inventory, identify gaps, focus on foods that you actually eat. It does not matter if I eat it. It does not matter if the people next door eat it. It does not matter if some bunker bro says that you should have it in your pantry and that you should have this many pounds of it. No, it matters that it's something that you actually eat. Build a 30-day supply. then a 90-day supply. You don't need perfection, you need progress. This is never about perfection. I don't get perfect. Nope, nope, not possible. I have worked very hard to get where I'm at, but there are still times when I trip over my own feet. It's just gonna happen. We're human, and our pantries are living, breathing things that morph with us because we're not stagnant. We change. We have different things that happen, and our pantries should indicate that. Every can that you can put up matters. Every jar counts, and every meal you secure is peace added to your home. It is removing the chaos and replacing it with calm. We need to remember that history moves in cycles. What's that rule of three? You know, if somebody passes away, oh, it always happens in threes. I always hear that. It always happens in threes. Okay, that was the third person. I'm really sorry that they're gone. But now we can kind of take a collective deep breath. Or, oh, the lake is up, the lake is up, the lake is up. And the lake is way down because it happens in cycles. Everything happens in cycles. Life is a cycle. History is just a record. It's a record of life. And so history also moves in cycles. Preparedness keeps us steady regardless of the cycle. As long as you are prepared to some extent, then you can ride the cycles. We may not know exactly what the future holds. Nobody can predict exactly where we're going to be a year from now, but we do know how to feed our families. We do know how to prepare, and we do know how to remain calm. Your pantry is not fear, it's wisdom. Your pantry is not fear, it is caring. It is literally love in a physical form. And if all you do this week is add a few extra cans to your shelf, you're already ahead of a whole bunch of people. We need to remember to stay calm. Take one or two steps, do one or two things every week. And regardless of what hits in 2026, or if it hits, you will be prepared. I'm not alone in thinking that this is going to be a wild and wonky upcoming year. But we can do this. We can definitely do this. We can ride this wave. So do what you can with what you got, with where you are. Make a list. Check off the list every little bit that you do, because seeing that is great validation. But first start with your inventory, because you don't know what you need unless you know what you got, my friends. And you've got this. You really do. What is your next step to keep building your prepared pantry for the last part of the year? Let me know in the comments section down below. Thank you for choosing calm over chaos, and for building your food security one step at a time. Be safe, my friends. Keep stacking it to the rafters.